Crispus Attucks Changes History. Historical Nonfiction. A cold wind swept in from Boston Harbor on the night of March 5th, 1770, and fresh snow lay on the streets. On Boston Common, the British soldiers, who later became known as Redcoats, sat inside their tents. They had been camped there for months in conditions neither comfortable nor sanitary. At a time of rising tension in the colonies, the Redcoats were there to preserve the peace and enforce the new trade laws. For the soldiers, it was a monotonous assignment. They had little to do. Sometimes they debated political issues with the colonists. More often, the colonists hurled insults at the Redcoats, whom many regarded as foes. This night, some colonists were throwing snowballs from the darkness. Accounts vary about exactly what happened next. A scuffle seems to have broken out, and a nearby church bell rang an alarm. Citizens, angry and tense about the Redcoats, gathered at Boston Common. Some citizens carried sticks and clubs. As the crowd grew larger, the Redcoats forced the colonists back. According to several accounts, a small group of colonists suddenly charged the Redcoats. Urged on by their leader, a tall black man named Crispus Attucks, the men waved their simple weapons and shouted insults at the British. Attucks may have taunted the soldiers by saying, "Shoot if you dare." Then, as the crowd began to throw things at the soldiers, Attucks is said to have clubbed one of the Redcoats and grabbed for his bayonet, the blade at the end of his rifle. This latter move by Attucks proved too much for the soldiers. Fearing for their safety, the Redcoats fired, and Attucks fell dead. When the smoke cleared, a number of colonists lay sprawled on Boston Common. In all, 5 died from their wounds and 6 recovered. Although Crispus Attucks was probably the first victim in the cause that became the American Revolution, little is known about him. Said to be the son of an African father and a Native American mother, he grew up a slave in Massachusetts. In 1750, when Attucks was about 27, he ran away from his owner and may have gone to sea on a whaling ship. Nothing else was heard from him until the night of what became known as the Boston Massacre. That's what the Patriot leaders called it, a massacre, to build support for the cause of freedom. On that night, the foundations of American independence were laid, President John Adams later wrote. Thousands of angry colonists attended a public funeral for Attucks and the other victims in Boston's Faneuil Hall. Speakers praised the bravery that Attucks had exhibited, and newspaper accounts retold the story. Attucks and the others acquired even more fame with Paul Revere's widely known engraving of the massacre. Prints made from the engraving were distributed around the colonies, building support for Boston and hatred for the Redcoats. For 5 years, the memory of the Boston Massacre fanned the flames of revolution. In the end, the reckless bravery of Crispus Attucks had widespread consequences. His achievement was nothing less than changing the course of American history.